Hey everybody, morning, evening, afternoon, whatever. Again, it's Lieutenant Asagbro, back with episode 2 of hopefully a weekly or even more often. I don't know if this is a podcast or whatever, just a face-to-face with you all. First things first, shout out to my girlfriend, Christine. She helped get me a lot of some new equipment, so hopefully my videos will get better in the coming weeks. I got a pretty nifty webcam, the Blue Yeti mic, one of those speakers over it so you don't hear all the buzz and all of that. Now it's just up to me largely to learn how to edit all this stuff. It's a lot harder than I thought, but yeah. Hopefully I'll be able to give you some good stuff later on and fix all the backdrop stuff, maybe get a green screen, give you something to look at, have some music going through the videos, whatever. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to answer any lingering questions you guys might have in this episode or this topic today. And if not, I'll just cover them in the following ones. Again, feel free to ask any question that you want in the comments or send me an email so I could cover it. I know 1 or 2 people did reach out to me. Thank you for that. Again, I wasn't expecting anything from this and I did get a little bit of feedback, so let me dive into it. Actually, before I did, I kind of wanted to get a little bit into... Oh, and also, please, if you're having trouble hearing me, let me know in the comments. I don't know how to situate this mic because I've never had one before. But I can either move it closer or maybe buff up the sound or something. But yeah, let me know. And if you were wondering, there was one of the captains from my base is into anime, and there was a convention this weekend. I figured I'd check it out. I've never been to one before, and I bought more stuff than I probably should have. Namely of which, it's pretty cool. If anybody is aware of Cowboy Bebop, I got the cast to sign their names on I guess a Blu-ray collection that I had. It's pretty dang neat. And then a sword from another anime I used to watch called Rurouni Kenshin. It was pretty cheap, so I got it. I'll probably place it somewhere more properly where it won't fall and cause harm. But yeah. Anyway, to let you all know what inspired me to take this step into joining, because as I hopefully pointed out in the last video, I was a civilian with no real strong military upbringing or a push in my family. Come from Nigeria. If any of you are familiar with Nigerians, it kind of pushed the more medical or judicial jobs as opposed to national defense and whatnot. So my mother was pushing me more to get some sort of STEM degree and then the follow through in the medical field so that she could rest easy knowing that her son was well taken care of. I did have an itch to join up for the military in about middle, junior, senior year of my high school. I was really intrigued with it. I don't know, I kind of wanted to maybe toughen up. I don't remember my mind state, but I know that I was looking at West Point and I thought it'd be really cool to be one of those people. But by then I was, well out of the league. This was just a thought. So I kind of shelved it up until I went to college. I went to NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, and they actually did have an ROTC branch on the campus. I did not join, but I did talk to the military members there on and off just to get like advice or suggestions and whatnot. I kind of just did the college thing up till graduation, and when I graduated, I got a degree in chemical engineering, and I could not find a job. Story of everybody's life, huh? And so I remembered that if you sign up for OTS and you are selected, it is officer training school, for the Air Force. Upon graduation, you commission as an officer. Whereas if you had just signed up after enlisting regularly, you went up to your recruiter and said, I wanted to join, and then they sign your name and you go, you are an entry-level airman, up to and including, I believe, in anywhere from an E1, which is an airman basic, to an E3, which is a senior airman. Yeah. So I handed in my paperwork, thought nothing of it, because it's not that easy to get in, but I wanted to give that push. Handed in all of my stuff, and by God's grace, I got selected. It was a big process, though. Gosh, I can get into that in another video. But I made it through. One of the things that got me, I guess, through the training that you undergo at OTS, because make no mistake, it is difficult. I can't speak to the enlisted side because their basic is a little different than officer training is, but they do try to truncate a lot of information on you in a very short amount of time. For me, it was a little over 2 months. I believe so, or a little under 2 months, which was already shortened from a little under 3 months program that they had prior. But yeah, they want to shove in so much military knowledge and leadership skills and aptitude tests and physical fitness and all this in a very short amount of time. What got me through all of that was finding your why. Heard this a lot from friends, and it was very true. Initially, when I was going in, my push, my number one inspiration, funny, I'm just getting to it now, and I said I'd start talking about inspiration, was that I was at the time with my ex, and she was having difficulty finding work. She had been laid off or fired, whichever, and it was tough for both of us because I had to work a little bit of extra jobs just to make sure that she was okay. We were living together, just to make sure that she was okay, and get some extra money in so that she wouldn't need to immediately jump in and get the first available job, but she can get the one that she would want. And I figured that if this Air Force thing was to pan out, because by then I didn't know, I was on like the delayed entry program list, which again I'll get into later, but I figured if this did work, I would be able to take care of her, because as an officer, you are given a monthly allowance called a BAH, basic allowance for housing or something like that. I'll get the name again, I'm forgetting. But yeah, it would have provided me a way to save up while having a roof over my head, so that I didn't have to worry about working extra to get the funds to take care of her and myself. But we had broken up a little after, I guess, I got a class date, and it got really rocky for me because then I didn't really know why I was doing all of this. And then I remembered something else, which is what got me and helped me push over the slump while I was in training in and of itself, was my family. I wanted to be a good role model. I'm the oldest of three, and I wanted to be a really cool big brother for my little brother, and I wanted to be kind of like a inspiration for my sister. So I figured I'll give it that my all. And my mom, this isn't the medical thing that she wanted, but I still wanted to give her something to be very proud about, and she was. So yeah, it's a bit dry, but for me that was enough to push me through excuse me, all of the trials and tribulations of training, and help me push through to becoming an officer. So for those of you who are looking to or thinking about enlisting or going the officer route, are in ROTC at the academy, currently going through OTS, and you're having those up and down moments, remember your why. Remember the people who helped you get you to where you were, where you are, and push through, because they all want your success except the haters, and even then you want to prove them wrong, and finish strong so that you can go back and look them in the face, which is what I did. Sorry if you guys heard that. Jumping into a question that I got from my last video, and this question comes courtesy of, sorry, I probably should have gotten the name, shouldn't I? This video comes, the question comes courtesy of Boss Fight on the YouTube, and he asked if I could explain my first 2 weeks, and yeah, sure, I don't mind at all. I'll try to say as much as I can while kind of keeping some things out, because I kind of want you to, or those who are going through, and if not yourself, to kind of get a feel for it yourself. But yeah, basically, for me, I was in the delayed entry program at DEP. So when you sign the dotted line, so to speak, and say that I am now officially a member of the United States Air Force, you're conditionally in, and they enroll you in this thing called the delayed entry program. By that means you're in, and now they have up from that date up until a year from then to find a class date, and a class date is the date where a class starts. Well, they'll be able to put you in, slot you in, and then you would begin your training on that date. Mine ended up being near a year, and the cutoff is the year. But when they gave me that date and the day finally came, I went back to my my recruiting center, back to, I forget the name of it, but I went back to Fort Dix, which was in New Jersey for me, my commissioning area. I'm not sure, the place where you would swear in to the Air Force and the Constitution. And you'll go there, you'll swear in for the second time. I should probably get some water. Sorry for all this clearing. I'll try to get it ready for the next one. Or better for the next one, rather. But anyway, yeah. You swear in for the second time, and then you ship off. They give you the option of either driving to OTS or taking a plane. If you take the plane, everything's essentially paid for. You just have to grab your bags and wait to be shipped off. If you drive, they give you 3 days per diem rates, gas, and hotel accommodations to make it to base from where you are. I believe 3 days. Yes, 3 days. At least for me. Actually, no, I'm lying. Not 3 days. If you drive, they give you however many days it makes sense to drive from where you are to where OTS is, which was Maxwell, Alabama. So from New Jersey, they gave me 3 days of driving, which is what I did, because then I would be able to keep my car, which was a luxury to have when you finally did get base privileges to get off base. You can drive somewhere instead of having to Uber or shotgun with somebody else. So we got down there. There was a Facebook group created for all the people who are slotted into my class, so we all would talk to each other, because it's not just civilians who get slotted into the class, it's anybody who has been selected from among the US, and they all have this class. So it could be non-military members, it could be prior military members, it can be current military members, it can be active duty, it could be guard, it could be reserve. It's everybody. So we were talking in there about maybe meeting up earlier. I set up a dinner that we can meet up at and kind of chit chat with everybody, get a Phil, for those who are like me, anxious to know what the next step is or how to put your best foot forward, we could just go and talk over some food and yada yada yada. So we met up the night before at where was it? The Irish Bread Pub, I think. Really good food, and had some fun, discussed some things, and then we separated, got contact information, whatever, and then we met up for lunch the next day. When you get your class date, I believe you're to report in by any time after 12 noon the day of. So we met up for lunch, and then at 12 we all started to separate, collect our stuff, and then meet back at the base anytime between then and I think 4. You have like 12 to 4 to report in. And they suggest that you come later rather than sooner. I forget why, but it was kind of suggested to not come like 12:01. So you get there, you report in, you bring your clothing with you. They give you this list. Sorry, I probably should have mentioned that before you get in there. When you're at your I forget the duty station, not your duty station, your where you would go in to swear in the last time. When you swear in, they give you this they give you various documentation, one of which is your packing list, or should be. You actually should have got that way sooner from your recruiter or whomever who would that would tell you what to bring with you. So you would bring all this stuff with you when you go to report in, your hygiene stuff, the essentials, the clothing. Get as much as which you should try to get as much as you can prior to coming in, because when you come in, there's very few times at the beginning that you're going to be able to go and get this stuff. There were people who would be walking around in jeans and a t-shirt when everyone else is in their ABUs, their Airmen Battle Uniforms, Airmen Battle Uniforms, I believe. Just because they didn't have everything with them. Some people had their ABUs with their name tapes on them, so you would know their names. Some people didn't, like me. I didn't have the time to. And you couldn't just pull my name off of the shelf, because Ayodeji Asagbro isn't something that you find at a Walmart. And soda. So you grab all your stuff, which was me. It was a giant duffel bag. And you're going to have the MTIs, which are kind of like, I forget what they are. MTI. It's not military training instructor. I feel stupid that I actually Googled that when I already knew it. But yeah, you would have a line of MTIs doing the thing that you see on TV all the time, yelling orders, trying to shock you. You're in phase 0 as soon as you get off that bus or you get out of your car and you park it. As soon as you cross the street and you hit the dorm complex, it's exactly what you see. Pick up your bag, put it down. Pick it up. You're too slow. Put it down. A lot of shell shock. Indoctrination week, which is week 0, which is as soon as you come in there, is kind of to prep you for what is going to be the remainder of your time at training. For the civilians, to remind you that you're not in Kansas anymore. I'm guessing for the prior or the prior enlisted, which are the people who had already had military experience prior to getting there. That was just more of a now you're almost there kind of reminder for them, so to speak. They did like to prior. This is also a good point. When you swear in, or while you're getting ready to apply to start your class date, that is when you are in dep, that means you're officially in and just waiting a class date, they will tell you to read 2 things called the Hawk and the Otsman. The Hawk is the handbook of warrior knowledge or something, and the Otsman is the OTS, Officer Training School Manual. You really should read these things front to back. Do I even have mine here? I think I actually do. And the reason why you want to read these things front to back, I might have left it somewhere else, but not that it's important. I mean, it's hella important, but you want to read this front to back because in these books are the rules for what it is that you will be required to know at OTS. How to walk, how to speak to the cadre members, the proper way to wear your uniform, how to salute, when to salute, where to salute, and where not to salute. There's a million rules, and that spells it out completely for you. Because there's very, very minimal hand-holding while you're at training, and a good way to get yourself noticed or known in the wrong way is to do a lot of mistakes so that the MTIs know your name and can pick on you at any given point in time, something you don't want. So the more knowledge that you do have prior to coming in, the less reason that they have to grill you, because they can't catch you for something wrong. And you will be tested on this knowledge constantly. Constantly. And then again, for people like me coming in, it was a shell shock of, having captains in front of your face, or just yelling at you as to you're not going into the chow hall, the DFAC, the dining facilities, in the proper order. You're not sitting at the correct seat. Like it was pretty intense. During indoctrination week, sleep is very minimal. You're going to be busy from when you get in up till the weekend. I believe every weekend only a handful of cadre members stay by and or MTIs. Everybody else goes home because for them it's a weekend, but for you it's not. And especially for the first week, it's the first day in a long time that you haven't had somebody yell at you to wake up at so early. Because every other day you were waking up at I think like 4:30, 4:35ish. You're gonna have them bang on your door exactly as you've seen in the videos, and they're gonna yell at you to get out and line up in front of your door, and then they're gonna give you a certain amount of time to get dressed into whatever the uniform of the day is and line out outside, just whatever the weather is, and to do whatever the following procedures are. That will continue literally through the first week. The first week is literally just that, marching you around everywhere, getting your blood work and shots done, giving you your uniforms, your camelbacks, which is a giant backpack thing that you would wear. I'll show it in another video. It's pretty funny. That thing will be your baby for a good 2-3 months. I said getting a uniform already. Just the bare essentials. That's pretty much it. The second week, they're going to throw more. It's going to be essentially more or less the same, just not as much yelling. Now they're going to, okay, we've done this for a week. Let's see how you handle it, type of thing. You will not be in indoctrination phase anymore. You'll be in phase 1. And there's 4 phases. At least there were 4 phases when I started. Each phase that you're in is determined by the cadre members, that is the OTS staff themselves, and they determine whether or not you're good enough to phase up. Each phase gives you more responsibility and more, I'm losing the word, privileges than the last. So phase 1, not really any privileges. indoctrination, no privileges. I know phase 1 had something at like night. I forget what. Phase 2 had cell phone use after a certain time of day. I think at night you were able to use your cell phones or something like that. Yeah, I think that was it. Maybe phase 3, you can use your cell phone at any point in time, so long as it wasn't in like a classroom or something. And even then, you still had to like render customs and courtesies to cadre members as they passed. And you had to use your phone in certain areas. And you didn't have a tight meal, I think, for dinner and on the weekends. A tight meal being there was a certain way you had to eat, which you will learn, at least for me. I can get into these later, I guess, because there's a lot of rules, but one of the ones they're going to grill the heck out of you is the eating procedures. You have to stand in rows of 2, and you have to proceed a certain way into the dining facilities, cafeteria. You have to get your tray. You have to walk in a certain way. You have to walk 2 at a time. You have to post, grab your trays, walk around the cafeteria. So it's like there's like a 2-bay cafeteria with 2 flights. That is 2 groups of 2 on both sides, and they're getting their food, and then they're funneling in like essentially a half circle, getting like their condiments from every few feet, circling around and then going back to where they need to sit. And then, as you can see, there's 2 groups of 2. That's 4 people, and then 4 people would sit down at a table. But then, depending on who got there first, sits in a very specific position 1. Same for 2, 3, and 4. You have to eat in a tight meal. That is, there's no talking. Your head and eyes are straight forward. Your chin is up. Your heels are together. Your feet are pointed at a 45-degree angle. Both feet are pointed at 45-degree angle, so there's a 90-degree angle in the middle of your feet. Your hands are bladed and they're on your thighs while you sit up and look straight forward. The only time they are off of your thigh is if you are eating, and you can come in close to your tray to put the food in your mouth, but then that's it. And then you chew, mouth closed, while the other hand is still down here. The napkin is on your lap, underneath the bladed hand. Your elbows, of course, are off the table. And that's that. You had, I forget how much, maybe 7 minutes to eat your meal. Then when you were done, you had to get up, person in positions 1 and 3, I believe, had to clean up in a certain way. Persons in positions 2 and 4 had to leave before they did, and then so on and so forth. There's a lot of rules, and these would be explained in the manual, the Otsman, and you will get grilled and or a 341, which is kind of like a demerit if you mess up enough. Granted, during the first week or 2, of course, they're going to know that most people don't know what's going on here, especially the civilians. So they'll get there's not really many demerits being given then, but from then on, it is a thing. Let's see. But yeah, no, you get more phases like that. That was phase 3. And then phase 4, I believe, I believe phase 3, you were allowed to go off base on the weekends, I think. Phase 4 was everything. No meal was a tight meal. You didn't have to walk around in formation, to my knowledge. And you can leave base anytime after SMT, which is scheduled military time. So if you had class as soon as class was done, if you had no other class or any other thing on the schedule that you had to do, you can just drive off, get stuff done, and come back. Also, I don't think you could have had alcohol up till phase 3, and caffeine up till phase 2, or you needed privilege from your flight captain, because there was this whole thing. Everybody needed coffee because you were waking up so early, but you had to tough it out for a week or two, and a whole lot of stuff. Back on track, and a follow-up to that question that was asked of me was also, do I have any, let's see here, any advice I would give to my past self based on the info that I have for week 1 and 2? And I can get to the other weeks later on, that's fine. But yeah, it was a good point, a good topic that you brought up for just the first 2 weeks. If I could go back and give myself advice, or give advice to those going in, I would, number 1, read your Hawk and your Ottsman. You don't have to memorize the Warrior Knowledge book, which was just like military history, rule sets, quotes, the hierarchies. I don't think you'd have to memorize that, because they will give you time and they will make sure that you know that thing. But just go through it so that you're familiar with it. For the Yachtsman, if you can, not memorize, but internalize as much as you can so that you'll be a quicker learner when the training does kick off. They'll give you a lot of responsibility, which will be easier for you because you'll have less people barking at you or yelling at you or instructing you and looking for you to lead other people, which will be in your benefit later on, near the end of OTS. Definitely read that book, even though it is fairly long. I would get, if you can shop around for the things on your packing list, do so prior. That is, if you can get your military gear before you go, get it. Because what happened with me, I had nothing but like underwear and toothpaste and bathroom stuff. So they will ferry you to the clothing store. I'm forgetting its name. I'm drawing a blank. Not Stripes. Stripes is the tailoring center. The Base Exchange, I guess. And you would go there and you would buy all of your gear, and it totaled to be about $900 for me. And you are given an initial clothing allowance of, I think, $850 or something. I forget, or at least that's what it was then. But you don't know when that's coming or when you'll be getting that money back. So actually, I'm not even sure if it is whatever, but you have to pay for that right then because you need it. So if you don't have a lot of money on you, what'll happen is they're going to give you a credit card. They're going to not force you, but you're going to have to sign up for one, and then they're going to buy your clothing with that card, and then you're going to pay that card back. I don't know if there's any interest on that card. I don't even think there is. So it's a good card, but you're going to be spending a lot of money ASAP if you don't have your gear ready. I could even show you my receipt. It's somewhere there. It's like stupid long. I can't even fit everything on there. Yeah, I saved it just because it was comical. Get your name tapes, which is your last name, sewn onto your gear. And if you don't have your gear, just have those name tapes given or made for you before you could ship out. If you can't get them, they can again do that over there, which was the case with me. But everybody will be able to know you or know your name, which might be a good or a bad thing, depending on how confident you are during the first 2 weeks. But at least your gear will have your name on it. Otherwise, everyone else, you'll see all the new people will be walking around with no name on their ABUs. So if you're hitting it off with somebody and you'd like to, on when the days are done and you want to follow up with them to discuss how your day was, you can't talk to them when you're in the dorms because you don't remember their name. So you gotta just hope to bump into them or something like that. Do not be afraid. This is a huge one. Do not be afraid to speak out, ask for help initially, because they know initially you don't know much of anything going on and you're nervous and you're afraid. But if you show genuine interest as to not want to mess up and to want to excel, you will go far. It is intimidating because there's a lot of people who look like they don't want you to speak or look in their direction or breathe. But if you go to them braving that and saying, I want to do better, please instruct me or please help me, they will make note of that, and it will help you, because then later on you're expected to know it, and they should be not even having to look at you, because the classes are scheduled in such a way that when you're there in your class, another class might be starting later than yours. So you might be in like week 4 and another group might just be coming into OTS and doing their own thing. You might have people there who are near graduation, which was the case for us. So they don't want to even focus on those people because they should be knowing what they're doing, and they're focusing on you because you're new. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You're gonna be very busy. Make sure to tell your family, make sure your family, your friends, your loved ones understand what you will be doing, and that you might not be able to discuss with them anything. You might not be able to talk to them for a while. For me, I wasn't able to really talk to people for maybe 3 or so weeks on the phone anyway. I was able to send like WhatsApps or emails and whatnot. Sometimes at night, if I wasn't too tired or I didn't have to study when we came back. But even then, that's in Montgomery, Alabama, so there might be time zone differences. So do note that. And then when you do have the time, maybe you're fatigued and you just want to go to sleep or something. I don't know. But for me, I would definitely go back and tell myself to remind everybody that I might not be able to talk to you for some time. And I think the last piece of advice I would give two more. Make sure that you are physically fit, that you are able to stand for hours at a time. You will sweat a lot. Your gear will get very nasty. Be prepared to do that. You're going to be doing a lot of running. You're going to be doing a lot of walking, a lot of marching. Sorry, not a lot of walking, a lot of marching. Just be acclimated to it, or at least be mindful of it. Know that this is a stepping stone for you, and it's a very important stepping stone. So just condition yourself for it. You will have by now know that there is a physical fitness test, and that you must pass, otherwise you do not graduate. It's simple as that. And you will get kicked out if you do not pass. I think if you fail more than once, you're out. And depending on your age, and your sex, and I think those are the 2 criteria to determine how much you're supposed to do of the push-ups, sit-ups, and the 1.5 mile run. So look that up, Google that information up, make sure that you can hit those windows and try to be a little bit under. Granted, adrenaline will probably push those numbers northwards when you get there, but just be conditioned and know that it will be tough on you. Case in point, our tests are sometimes in the PT is at 4:30, 5 o'clock a few times a week. So you're waking up early all the time, but you're waking up that early and then you're immediately putting on some shorts and running out before the sun has any business of coming up, and you're doing gym or you're running 1.5 miles or something. So just be conditioned for this. For those of you who don't take orders well, gotta adapt. It's gonna happen. There's gonna be so much yelling. I don't know if like you don't like people in your face or something, but there's no going around it. It's going to happen. If you're calm, I've seen people who were smiling. They got grilled for for smiling. You gotta just tough it out, change, adapt. No, everybody wants you to exceed, even those who are yelling at you. The MTIs don't want anybody to fail. They will push you as far as they can, but they don't want you to fail. They will push you so that you know how strong you are. I'm glad that they did for me. But don't like start fights or get frustrated. It'll make your time miserable. Get used to being close and buddy with people that you don't know. That wasn't really much of an issue for me, but if I could tell that to other people, please do so. I like to befriend a lot of people. It's just my attitude. But not everybody is like that. Some people like to be secular, read a book, and be by themselves. That doesn't happen. You're forced into a dorm. You're forced to live with people you've never seen before. You're forced to clean a bathroom that all of you used in a very short amount of time. It gets... there's a lot of stuff. But just be mindful of that. And those people that you don't know, those strangers, they will be family. And you will talk with them well after you commission. Be mindful. That's essentially all the tips that I would have for the first 2 weeks, outside looking in and telling myself. Mainly, though, remember my why. Everything else would fall under that. If I know what I am doing to tough it out, if I know that I am trying to do something for my family, to be a role model, to give back. I couldn't have been here without my mom, so thanks, Mom. So in order to show her investment was worth it, I will befriend strangers. I will clean the best toilets of all. I will clean the toilets the best. Sorry. I will read that manual front and back. I will learn every rule in every language to make sure that I can graduate. And with that comes great accolades, which I think I could talk or show about in another video. But yeah, I think that's a good chunk to stop here. Cliff's notes again, just keep up your physical fitness, keep your goals in sight, remember your why, buy as much as you can before you get in. Bring your car. I would suggest bringing your car. And be prepared for shell shock. But just like everything, it'll come to pass. You can tough it out. I wish I heard that when I was coming in too. With that, again, thank you for listening. Again, hopefully I'll be able to fix all this up. Maybe it'll look... the camera's pretty top notch, but maybe I could polish it up a little bit. Right now I'm just using default programs. Give a better backdrop instead of my kitchen. Please let me know again how the audio is. I'll go and work on that later. I know I'm doing a lot of ums and whatnot too. I'm gonna work on that a little bit more. Hopefully the audio does sound better, and hopefully I'll be able to work with that better in the next time. Add some videos maybe underneath, so if you're listening to this on a drive or something, it's not just so dull. That's the word I was looking for. If you have any suggestions, again, please let me know. Put them in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to update as applicable. I'm not sure what I'll talk about next week, but whatever it is, I'd like you to add whatever your thoughts or opinions or suggestions or questions or comments are to that. And when all this is done and everything is settled down, I know, because this week is a bit busy for me at work. Last week was a bit hectic. I have some Air Force Academy cadets and some other people coming through. I'm giving them a site tour. So I'm fairly new myself, so I got to learn the area and make sure to do it as best as I can, and some other stuff. So yeah, just hope you enjoyed. Hope to hear from you soon, and that's it. Peace.